There was an almost instant reply on the other end. I pressed the phone off. The sounds of chatting and laughter inside continued. All right then. His sister-in-law is really that obedient. I'll treat everyone to drinks next month. 3 months, Hakeem said. Sure. There was a chorus of laughter and banter. I scurried outside in a panic. It wasn't until I walked out of the office building that the sharp sunlight stabbed into my eyes. And then my tears began to fall in a rush. Hakeem had taken a fancy to a young girl who hadn't graduated yet. He bought her an apartment in Hai Cheng, which was filled with luxury goods. But the girl wouldn't let him kiss or hug her. She lived in a spacious flat. Wearing Hoku. Her worth millions. And with her neck stuck out, she said, I won't be a mistress. Hakeem found it extremely amusing. By now, it was already the 3rd time Hakeem had put on an act for her. The first time, he flaunted his affection for me. At that time, I didn't know about Angali's existence yet. In the afternoon, Hakeem indeed took me to the Civil Affairs Bureau. He was in a good mood throughout the journey. I nodded. Do you confirm that the relationship has broken down? Yes, I nodded. There will be a 1-month cooling-off period. Come back in a month. Hakeem took the receipt. Before even leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, he took a photo and sent a message with his head lowered. My phone also received a message. As usual, it was from Anyali. Hakeem sent her a photo of the receipt along with a message. Satisfied? Clean yourself up for me tonight. I clicked on the profile picture and blocked him. Just after I finished that, a flight ticket confirmation message came in. At the same time, there was a WeChat message. Surya Ann, your eyes are really beautiful. And I keep looking into them while talking to you. Surya Ann, you play the piano so beautifully. I wish I could come every day. My throat can't make a sound. I need Hakeem to stay with me so I can fall asleep. Back then, Hakeem was very patient. He accompanied me to practice vocalization. Finally, I sat on the cold ground with my legs hugged. I didn't know which part of the phone I touched, but, in the silent night, a deep male voice suddenly rang out. Surya Ann? My heart skipped a beat. I picked up the phone. Ooh, Vikram? What should I do? I didn't expect him to suddenly say, then just marry me, okay? But teasing in the room grew louder and louder. Stop joking with our brother Nan. Surya Ann can't even speak. How could she really get a divorce certificate? Yeah, if she really went to get a divorce, she'd probably cry the Civil Affairs Bureau down. Is that so? Hakeem sneered. He threw the lighter onto the coffee table and said, even if she cries her eyes out, she'll still be my Hakeem's dog. If I tell her to go east, she'll crawl there even if she has to. I stared blankly at the man who had become a stranger through the crack of the door. Okay, Vikram made a list for me. It was a list of things that had to be done within a month. Of course, things like applying for a visa and finding a lawyer were included. Surprisingly, it was densely filled with a list of restaurants that I had to try. Chinese food abroad doesn't taste good. Really, I gladly accepted it. They went to those restaurants one by one according to his list. But days alone didn't seem so hard to bear. I ate, shopped, and then packed my luggage every day. Surya Ann, you're so cute. I've told you it's just an act. All right. He was in a good mood, accustomed to my silence on the phone. He laughed to himself. Surya Ann, you're so cute. I've told you it's just an act. All right. He was in a good mood. Why don't we just see this act through to the end? Come with me to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow to get the divorce certificate. I held the phone in my hand. Surya Ann, don't worry, it's just. Okay, I said. Whoa. There was a burst of cheering on the other end. I hung up the phone and sent him the time via WeChat. The next day, I got up early. Hakeem arrived late. There was a faint hickey on his lips, probably left by Anyali on purpose. He pretended not to notice it, and I did the same. The procedures were even smoother than last time. It only took 5 minutes in total. Surya Ann, I'll give you a surprise tomorrow. Hakim gently kicked my calf. I put away the divorce certificate and said, Hakim, are you free tonight? I have something to talk to you about. Hakim was taken aback. Since we got married, I had always called him husband. The next moment, he curved his peach blossom eyes and flicked the red divorce certificate in his hand, saying, Sure. No matter what Hakim had been like this past year, I didn't want to deny the Hakim of the past. I was grateful for his company over the years and for the care he had given me. So, in fact, I never thought of leaving without saying goodbye. But it rained that night. There was thunder and lightning. I was afraid of such nights. That car accident had happened during such a heavy rainstorm. I endured the shivering in my body and waited for Hakim. I was even worried that when Hakim appeared, because of years of habit, something in me would be torn apart again on such a stormy night. I wanted to hide. I didn't want anyone to see my embarrassed state. But where could I hide? Everywhere was filled with rain and lightning. There was mockery everywhere. Just then, Vikram's call came in. Wow, they didn't even have time to do public relations. How urgent is this? Let me see. TSK. This girl's he looks kind of familiar. Brother Nan. Someone pushed Hakim. Look at the girl in Vikram's arms dozing. She looked like sister-in-law. Hakim had actually woken up earlier, but he didn't like to get involved in the Fu family's affairs. How could it be your sister-in-law? Your sister-in-law wouldn't even dare to leave Chai Cheng, let alone go abroad. For as soon as he glanced at the photo, he suddenly froze. It was pouring heavily at the airport. Under the black umbrella, the man was tall and slender with a stern face, protecting the girl in his arms from the rain completely. He knew Surya Ann too well. Her figure, her hair color. It couldn't be. Hakim threw the phone down with a snap. How could Surya Ann know someone like Vikram? She had even invited him to her apartment tonight. Or she must have been missing him like crazy since she hadn't seen him for a month. Hakim took out a cigarette from his cigarette case, lit it, and then took out his phone. Hakim turned on his phone again and dialed a number. Sorry, the number you have dialed does not exist. After that car accident, I had never left Chai Cheng. All forms of transportation made me feel terrified. Going to a completely unfamiliar place would make me feel even more anxious and uneasy. I sat beside Vikram, nervously clasping my hands. He was so tall, but even sitting in the back seat of the car, he was still a head taller than me. He looked very serious. When the driver talked to him, he would just dismiss him with 1 or 2 words inferiorly. He seemed to be a very important celebrity. Just at the Chai Cheng airport, reporters had surrounded us tightly, calling him Mr. Fu, one after another. Was I being impulsive? I didn't even know the name Vikram until I talked to him on the phone for the first time. The city of Paris was a place that I had never even dared to dream of going to before. The person beside me suddenly moved and took something out of his pocket and handed it to me. Want some? It was a piece of candy. The paper bag had a pink rabbit printed on it. My memory was immediately pulled back to years ago when I talked to her, without getting tired. Sister, do you like candies? I've tried a kind of candy recently. Why, it's really delicious. It's soft and chewy, and it smells of peach fragrance. If you want some, give me your address, and I'll send you a can. She sent me a string of English addresses in reply. That was the first time she had responded to me. The sense of strangeness was suddenly dispelled. I had searched for this rabbit candy for a long time back then, looking for it according to his WeChat profile picture, just wanting to make this lonely sister happy. Shall I unwrap it for you? He didn't seem to be that unapproachable. His voice was gentle, and there was a soft light in his eyes. Before I could nod, He had already skillfully unwrapped the candy wrapper. I took the candy and put it in my mouth. The familiar taste spread from the tip of my tongue, and all the pores in my body relaxed. I actually managed to stay in a completely unfamiliar place. Vikram arranged for me to live in his apartment, but he seemed to be very busy and rarely came home. In the first week after adjusting to the time difference, he had a talk with me. "Angshu, what kind of job do you want to do?" His words left me stunned. Hakim had never allowed me to go out to work. When you're nervous, you can't even speak clearly. What kind of job can you do? I could just plant some flowers and grass at home. You won't lack that bit of money, right? Vikram held a cup of coffee and said, "You haven't started learning the language yet, but there are many Chinese people in Paris." I clasped my hands nervously and asked, "Can I?" Vikram raised his eyebrows and said, "How do you know if you don't try?" And I actually found a job. I taught a Chinese overseas student Chinese. It was just an ordinary tutoring job, and I was surprisingly happy. I was so happy that I wanted to share it with my few friends, feeling that I wasn't completely useless. As soon as I logged into WeChat, messages flooded in like snowflakes. "Don't you know how to buy a new one if you lost it? Don't you know how to call me if you bought a new one? You know my phone number by heart, don't you?" I held the phone quietly. "Also, where have you gone? Why did you send those things to the ancestral house? Do you still want to celebrate our 3rd anniversary?" "Hakim." I called his name easily. "We're already divorced." Before he could say anything more, I hung up the phone. "Surya Ann, I've told you so many times it's just an act. Didn't you understand? What's your new phone number? Send it to me. Add me back on WeChat. Do you still want to keep in touch with me?" Messages popped up one after another. I clicked on his profile picture and blocked him. Then I found all of Hakim's friends on the list and blocked them all. The new environment really seemed to make it easier for me to let go of the past. On my way back, I bought a small cake. After all, Vikram and I had been chatting for more than 2 years, having gotten through the initial awkward period. I was quite familiar with him. For example, I knew his preferences. Recently, he didn't seem to be as busy as before and came back to the apartment more frequently. As I carried the cake along the way, I thought to myself that he should be coming home today. However, I didn't expect him to be home so early. Just as I took out my key, the door opened. Vikram was wearing a dazzling white shirt, and in his arms was a fluffy little animal, a puppy. I was so delighted that I forgot what I was holding in my hands and reached out to take the puppy. "Did you get this? I've never heard you mention it before. Or is it a friend's? It's so cute." "It's for you," Vikram said as he closed the door. I was taken aback. "For me?" I blurted out instinctively. "Can I really have it?" Hakim had never allowed me to keep a pet. He said that it would leave fur all over the house and there would be a strange smell. "But," Vikram said, "I know." My heart seemed to go boom like setting off a small firework. I was going to have my own puppy again. I brought this small cake for you." I handed the cake to Vikram and then went to the sofa to play with the puppy. My first puppy was a birthday gift from my parents. My brother accompanied them to choose it personally. At that time, I seemed to have no idea what trouble was. So much so that I always felt that when I saw a puppy, all my troubles would disappear. When I looked up, it seemed that I wasn't the only one in a good mood. Vikram sat beside me, the corners of his lips slightly raised. He quietly ate the small cake, bite by bite. "Sister, you got some cream on your clothes." I stood up and was about to grab a tissue when I suddenly realized I was so relaxed that I had called him the wrong name. "Sister?" Vikram's voice came closer, and so did his breath. He was so close that the puppy let out a woof and ran away. When I looked up slightly, I saw his hands and face and felt the elastic muscles under my hand. For a moment, all I could hear was the pounding of my heart. I wanted to step back, but Vikram held the back of my head and kissed me without giving me a chance to refuse. Surya Ann, did you forget something? My heart was pounding so hard that it felt like it was about to explode. My face was so hot that my head felt dizzy. But he kissed me again. This time softly and tenderly. His voice was low and husky as he said, "When shall we go and register our marriage? Today? Or tomorrow?" I didn't know how it happened. I was so dazed from the kiss that I thought it was already evening, so I said tomorrow. The next day, Vikram really took me to the city hall. An old gentleman, who was said to be the mayor of Paris, talked a lot, and I just kept nodding. With a wave of his hand, he issued the marriage certificate to us. I was a bit nervous, but more than that, I felt a little excited. People of the same kind understand each other. I always felt that Vikram would be the wrong choice. The only thing that made me unhappy was that Hakim somehow found out my phone number in Paris and called me using a French number. "You really went to Paris?" As soon as I answered the phone, he recognized my voice. "Surya Ann, you've learned to be angry? Haven't you had enough of this after a month?" I took a deep breath to suppress my surging emotions and said, "Hakim, stop disturbing my life." "Your life? What kind of life could you possibly have?" "Don't think I don't know. You went to Paris to find that angle, right? You should be ashamed to burn in that little sister who loves candies every day." I had never hidden anything from Hakim about what I did, or who I made friends with in the past. "All of this has nothing to do with you. I'm your husband, damn it. If it has nothing to do with me, then who does it have to do with? I advise you to come back right now. Otherwise," I hung up the phone directly. Then he sent me a text message. "So you're not replying, huh? Fine. You think you're capable. If you have the guts, rely on that little sister for the rest of your life." I had never thought that Hakim could be such a despicable person. Then I thought, he had an affair during our marriage and even openly asked me for a fake divorce. How could he be a good person? I was blinded by our childhood friendship and lost my mind. That night, many of my friends sent me messages, mostly screenshots of Hakim's moments with the question, "What's going on between you and young Master Zhu?" Hakim posted an intimate photo with Anyale on his moments, which was like publicly admitting their relationship. I was too lazy to explain much. I directly posted a photo of the divorce certificate on my moments. My university roommate group exploded. Surya, and you're finally awake." I always thought that guy surnamed Zhu was up to no good. He never took you to meet his friends and never posted about you on his moments. Exactly, and he always talked about Surya Ann's aphasia. Surya Ann could talk to us just fine. But as soon as he mentioned it, she would get so nervous that she couldn't speak. It turned out that everything had been traceable for a long time. A few days later, the group exploded again. Is he crazy? Hakim sent each of them the same thing. A photo of a diamond ring, a screenshot of his chat records with Anyali. "I'll give you a surprise in 3 days. Are you free?" And then a message for me. "Tell Surya Ann that it's my mom's birthday party in 3 days. If she doesn't come back to China, I'll find a new daughter-in-law for my mom." I also thought he was crazy. Just ignore him. However, I did need to go back to China. That night, Vikram came home with 2 suitcases. "We're going back to China." I was stunned and didn't react at first. "The marriage certificate needs to be notarized in China," he said as he packed the documents. "And I want to take you back to meet our relatives and friends." I instinctively wanted to ask, "Can I?" Just as my roommate said, Hakim had never taken me to public places. He was afraid that I couldn't speak properly, or that I would stutter and embarrass him. "Hey, Surya Ann." Vikram suddenly stopped what he was doing, turned around, and held my face in one hand. His black pupils looked at me steadily and he said, "Surya Ann, there's nothing you can't do." A warm, tingling feeling spread from the bottom of my heart throughout my body. So this was what a positive relationship was like. Vikram said he needed to go to Hai Cheng first to deal with some matters. Coincidentally, I also wanted to meet with my lawyer, so the first stop of our return to China was set in Hai. Unlike the heavy rain when we left, the sun was shining brightly when we landed. Vikram was very low-key. He wore sunglasses all the way and led me to the VIP passage. Over these days, I naturally knew who he really was. 12 years ago, the power struggle within the Fu family was reported in the headlines for months. No one expected that the final winner would be a young man who hadn't even graduated from university. What's more, after Vikram took over the Fu family, he used decisive measures and came up with brilliant strategies, one after another in just 2 years. He doubled the already huge size of the Fu family business. I had also heard rumors about him, but I was young at that time, and since he had been away from the country for many years, I didn't remember his name. Fortunately, we didn't run into any reporters this time. Vikram and I arrived at the hotel smoothly. He went to the company, and I took a nap at the hotel after waking up. I went to the law firm. Miss Kiao, your assets are being processed step by step as you requested. These are several documents that you need to sign. Please take a look. This is the original contract of the property that has been sold, and you can take it with you. The handling of your personal assets has been going smoothly. But the lawyer looked a bit embarrassed. Miss Kiao, you still have several properties that are marital properties with Mr. Zhu. According to the divorce agreement, it should be divided equally between you two, but Mr. Zhu refused to cooperate. He said that you two, the lawyer coughed lightly, haven't divorced yet. I frowned. So you see, I nodded. Sorry, I'll communicate with him. I took out my phone after my roommates blocked Hakim. He created all kinds of fake accounts and dated me in different ways every day. I accepted one of them. Are you free tonight? Let's meet up. Hakim didn't reply immediately. He was typing for a long time. Yo, you finally came back to China? But pity. I'm going shopping with CHIZHI tonight. I'm not available. I looked at the message on my phone and almost laughed out of anger. There were ways to deal with his refusal to cooperate with the asset division. He could just apply to the court for enforcement, but since we didn't plan to stay in China for long this time, I wanted to keep things simple. Probably seeing that I didn't reply, he sent another message. There's still a chance for you to make up. Come and apologize at my mom's birthday party tomorrow. He was really crazy. I blocked him again. Just then, Vikram also sent me a message. I've asked someone to send you several sets of dresses. You can choose one. I'll take you to meet some friends tomorrow. I was going to meet Vikram's friends, but my heart skipped a few beats. I immediately threw away the unhappiness brought by Hakim and took a taxi back to the hotel. Vikram had someone send me far more than just several sets of dresses. There were rows and rows of clothes hangers, along with matching shoes, jewelry, and a group of makeup artists. The whole room was filled with them. Seeing how much he valued it, I didn't dare to be negligent. I tried on different combinations almost the whole night and finally chose a cute and low-key outfit. Fortunately, Vikram didn't come back either since he hadn't been back to China for 10 years. It was rare for him to visit the Cheng branch office in person, so he was undoubtedly very busy. The next day, I slept for half the day. When I woke up, it was already afternoon. After changing my clothes and doing my makeup, Vikram's message came in just in time. I've asked the driver to pick you up. When I got in the car, an unknown number called. I had a hunch it was Hakim, so I hung up directly. He called again, and I hung up again in the end. I blocked the number, but I didn't expect that when the driver stopped, I saw Hakim. He was standing at the entrance of the hotel, making phone calls one after another. Finally, he angrily smashed his phone. I looked up at the name of the hotel and realized it was the one Hakim had sent me the day before. Vikram's call came in at the right moment. Have you arrived? You want me to come down and pick you up? His voice always had the power to calm me down. I glanced at Hakim with a dark face and said, No. I'll come up by myself. Probably hearing my voice, Hakim looked over for a moment. It was hard to describe the expression on his face. It was a mix of surprise, ecstasy, and a hint of suppressed anger. He kicked away the smashed phone, his eyes red. Kayao. But that was all he could say. He pressed his lips, turned his face away, and said, "Let's go." He added with a bit of pride, "I knew you'd come." Then he turned around first. It seemed that this hotel had been reserved. I just suddenly realized who the friends were that Vikram had mentioned. Just tuck and smile. "Got it? Come here." He stretched out his hand. "Let me hold your hand." I stopped in my tracks, speechless. "Lie." "Hakim," I said coldly, "I'm not here for you. Come on, at this point, what are you pretending for? If you're not here for me, then who are you here for?" The door to the inner hall opened, and I saw Vikram at a glance. Although it wasn't his event, he was sitting in the main seat. On his left and right were Hakim's mother and Hakim's elder brother, who managed the company. Others were either standing or sitting, some drinking quietly, some whispering, and somehow they formed a semicircle centered around Vikram. "See that? The one in the middle is someone my mom managed to invite with great difficulty. His wife will be coming later. Behave yourself if you embarrass the Zhu family. My mom and my elder brother won't let you off." As Hakim spoke, he reached out to grab my hand, but I shook it off violently. "Korea Ann," he shouted loudly. Many people looked over, and Vikram also looked over with a slightly darkened expression. "Hakim, what are you doing?" It was Hakim's mother who called out to Hakim, but she was looking at me with dissatisfaction. Hakim's elder brother frowned and glanced at me, then smiled at Vikram and said, "Is Mrs. Fu here? Should I go down and pick her up?" Some people were whispering. Hakim whispered angrily, "I told you not to make a scene. Are you satisfied now? This is the first time you're meeting so many of the Zhu family relatives. This is the impression you're leaving?" "Yeah, in the 3 years of our marriage, this was the first time I was meeting all the members of the Zhu family." "Wow." Vikram suddenly called me. "Come here." There was an empty seat between him and Hakim's mother. Hakim was taken aback, and so were Hakim's mother and elder brother. I walked over. "Let me introduce you." Vikram said. His voice wasn't loud, but it was clear enough for everyone present to hear. "Surya Ann." He kissed the back of my hand and then looked at the others. "My wife." The banquet hall fell into a deathly silence. It seemed that everyone had even forgotten to breathe. Only Vikram, as expected of someone who had seen big scenes, remained calm. "Wang Shu, do you have anything to say?" All eyes were on me. Cold sweat broke out on my back. I clasped my hands tightly, and my heart was pounding. Vikram squeezed my hand, looked into my eyes, and nodded slightly at me. "There's nothing you can't do." I took a deep breath. "Auntie," I said to Hakim's mother. I clenched my fists. Hakim and I had been divorced for a long time. "I don't know why he didn't tell you." Then I turned to Hakim and took 2 steps back. Vikram also stood up. He put down the towel, took my hand, and we left. It wasn't until we got into the elevator that my heart seemed to return to normal. My legs felt weak, and I was about to fall. Vikram put his arm around my waist and pressed me against the wall of the elevator. "You made such a big fuss just to stop Hakim from bothering me again," I gasped softly. Vikram lifted my face and said, "You look beautiful today." I wasn't sure if he meant my appearance or what I had said. Then he leaned in and kissed me. "Surya Ann, Surya Ann." Hakim was shouting outside the elevator. Unfortunately, we had been so busy talking that we hadn't pressed the floor button. The elevator door actually opened for him. Vikram pulled me into his arms and looked back coldly. "What's the matter?" The elevator wall reflected my blushing face, and outside the elevator, Hakim looked stunned and almost desperate. I quickly pressed the button for the basement floor. For the elevator door closed. Vikram, rather wickedly, tilted my chin and kissed me even more forcefully in front of Hakim. It was said that Hakim was locked up by the Zhu family. They took away his phone and computer, cutting off all his communication. He was released only after swearing not to bother me again. I returned to Beijing with Vikram instead of not erasing our marriage certificate. We simply got a new one at the Civil Affairs Bureau. I met his friends and family. As the eldest son and grandson, his mother passed away early, and his father died when he was 18. His uncles treated me politely, and his friends were nice. One of his friends joked about him being a virgin in his 30s. In fact, we had been married for half a month, and he hadn't been intimate with me yet. At night, the atmosphere was strange. What are you thinking? Vikram turned and hugged me. He kissed me, and we became intimate. However, rumors spread after the birthday party. But Vikram didn't care. One day, when Vikram was working overtime and we were about to return to France in 3 days, I heard a commotion outside. Hakim had brought with streaming influencers, claiming Vikram had a perverted hobby. I rushed downstairs. Hakim, I slapped him. Who gave you the confidence I wouldn't leave? Who gave you the courage to spread rumors? They threw chat records at him and the player with his call, recording. Hakim turned pale and pasty. The live stream was cut, but Anjali's chat records with Hakim spread. Anjali was exposed for living off Hakim and flirting with others. Vikram cut business ties with the Zhu family. Hakim's mother called, and I said, "They don't tell you anything." And the day we left for France, it was drizzling at the airport. Hakim showed up, dirty and weedy, grabbed my suitcase, begging me not to go, saying there were misunderstandings. I retorted, "Did someone else put condoms in your pocket? You've looked down on me all this time. Let God on T ruin our friendship." Hakim let go. He tried to grab my hand, and I said, "You're dirty." I walked to Vikram, taking his arm, while Hakim held behind us. After that, I didn't see Hakim for a long time. I heard that Anjali was sued by Hakim and some other rich second generation. Hakim was kicked out of the Zhu family, with his cards stopped and property taken back. He had to work. There were rumors of him fighting with Anjali on the street. My teaching job in France went well, and my language learning progressed. During our first spring festival in France, Vikram took me skiing. At night, we lay in the hotel, counting stars. Vikram, tell me about Angel. At night, Vikram took me back to the old house in Beijing. There was a room full of pink rabbit paintings. Vikram had a younger sister, 10 years his junior. She loved pink rabbits. Her mother died at her birth, and her father when she was 8. She was bullied but hid it to not burden Vikram. She had aphasia and often left notes for Vikram. Her last notes said she was going back to the rabbit planet. Vikram was very busy when he finally found her. She was dead at the bottom of the lake. She had joined support groups but got little help. Years later, I added her on WeChat. Vikram, who had been guarding her account, accepted. He watched me share my life and wondered if my appearance could have changed his sister's fate. "You're my wife now," Vikram said, looking at the stars. "Is she really the one who sent you to me? Has she forgiven me? She never blamed you." "She's an angel who saved us," I said, kissing his tears. Vikram hugged me tightly. "Surya Ann, I love you."